Welcome to part 2 of my crew guide video. If you haven't checked out the first part, you should go check it out now. I'm going to start off by showing off my Death Star, but also teaching a valuable crew lesson, which is that you might not always want to use larger crew quarters, even if they make sense. In this ship design, you can see that I have all these operators that run all the weapons. They allow me to have things much more compact. But in the weapons, you'll notice I use two-person crew quarters. It's because with those crew quarters, I can assign them to the weapons on each side of the reactor. So these crew, they only ever stay in this position right here. They go to the one weapon, they go to the other. There's no walking across to the other side or anything. Over here is an example of ruining that. For the purpose of this video, I assigned the crew quarters to both sides. And if you look at it, it's a little hard to see with all the light from the ions, but there's a lot more power outages for this segment of the ship compared to the other ones. Let's talk about crew travel speed. Here's a setup of all different kinds of crew terrain. On the far left we have walkways, which make crew move twice as fast. Now it's not that simple because they have to go walk to the other walkway, but it really helps crew travel speed and thus crew efficiency because crew can get energy to something faster if you're not trying to go very faster, much further from your source. Here we have your basic quarter, which is 100% speed. A little side fact, walkways that are sideways make your crew move at 75% speed. Just something to keep note of, it's not a big deal for most people. If it's reversed, the crew move at 25% speed, but do note on this example they are moving at 200% speed in the opposite direction. Now what you're going to need to pay attention to is anything that's not a walkway or corridor or whatever makes your crew move at 50% speed. So you can see this ion struggles to keep running because the crew are moving much slower. It's got two crew, which is the same as the rest, but it can't keep running. Another crew travel time mistake people make is having crew walk across a reactor. You can see that when they walk across, they have to walk around it. They can't walk through it. So they're not only going at 50% speed, but they're also going an extra 2 tiles just to get around it. When you're making your ships, you should try your best to avoid that. As you can see here, crew assignments are made so that crew never walk across a reactor. When building, you need to pay attention to maximum weapon power draw. Here I'm using ion beams, which have a maximum power capacity of 10. So when this ion beam is out of power, it's going to ask for crew to bring it 10 power, and the crew are going to do exactly that. They're not going to take into account the fact that by the time they get there, it's going to be needing more power. You can see all this crew just sitting here completely unused, and reactor completely unused, while the weapon's running out of power. If you run into this issue on your ship, you need to just have your weapons closer. Or you could be using storages. Storages are typically used for point defense. Any other weapon, it's really not cost effective, and you should just be building a more efficient ship. To make a proper storage supply line, you need to have crew at the storages to bring the energy from the storage into the weapon, and then crew at the reactor to bring energy from the reactor to the storage. With crew assignments, you want to make sure you assign your crews to the weapon and to the reactor, and then for your storage assignments, you want to assign your storages to the weapons they'll be helping out. The reason we assign the crew to the weapons and the reactor is because if you assign the crew to the storages, they will work on both sides of the storages, which means they will bring to the storage and they will deliver from the storage. You don't want that. That's why you got to go on the ends. The weapon, if you assign it to the weapons, it's only going to take from the storage. If you assign it to the reactors, it's only going to bring to the storage. As you can see, these storages improve the efficiency of these point defense by a ridiculous amount. Reactor size can strongly affect how many crew you need. In this example here, everyone has 2 crew helping out and different size reactor batteries. Here they have the 1 size battery, and they sometimes run into issues delivering when it's right next to them. Here we have 2 size battery packs, and these crew can maintain over a 1 block distance. And here we have 3 size battery packs, and these 2 crew can maintain over a 2 block distance. This is very significant. You can particularly see it over here, over a long distance, completely taking out the crew's power draw. So these weapons do blink, but you can see it takes 20 crew to match the ion beamer on the left, and it only takes 8 crew to match the ion beam on the right. How quickly your crew can react to power needs have a significant impact on the outcome of a battle. Here on the left side, it takes the crew forever to start bringing power to their shields. As you can see here, once the power starts going down, crew have to walk a long distance before they can come and help out, and this means that they aren't able to defend themselves and ultimately die. On the flip side, the crew that are nearby are able to start powering up the shields very quickly and are able to defend against the laser taking very little damage in this case, but usually it takes none at all. It is very important for your weapons to be near the sources of their power, or ammo. Now, these weapons have the same crew and everything, but because of the distance, the further a weapon can't keep up. Even though there's leftover crew capacity to carry the energy, because of the limited power draw, they just can't keep up. You want to have your weapons close to the reactors where they're needed. As you can see here, it's short paths on a ship. I also want to point out here that this ship is reactor limited, which means that if I made my crew more efficient, it's not going to improve because of the reactor being a limiting factor. You can see that I did not prevent my crew from walking across the reactor in this case. Another thing to study this ship is something called compartmentalization, which is that this ship is pretty much made up of smaller building blocks. As you can see, everything in this area can't go anywhere else in the ship. It's a copy and paste. But if this reactor blows up, the rest of the ship is just fine. And everything runs smoothly. This means that I don't have to plan for crew trying to walk across the entire ship. That's why you don't see me assigning these crew to any weapon. It also allows for quick assembly of big ships by copy and pasting parts. You'll notice a classic compartment I have is this right here. I put it on all my things to make sure they don't run off while I'm showing off tests. And if the rest of the ship blows up, this part here is still functioning. It's completely separate. And I don't need to worry about crew management as much because the crew are limited to that part of the ship. A fun little bit of Cosmoteer history: before we had proper crew management, this was the only way people managed crew, was by physically blocking them from going anywhere. Let's talk about that exception I mentioned earlier. If your crew are constantly busy and never going to go back to their quarters, you don't need to worry about having them close as long as you can leave things auto-firing. So you're not going to use this in the case of ammo weapons, but something like an ion or an energy weapon, as shown here, you can have the weapon automatically fire and your crew stay busy. This can be very convenient for trying to make up space around a reactor to have extra maybe space for thrusters or whatever else shielding. Thanks for watching my video. I'm sorry it came out a little bit late. Let me know what you think of it and have a great day.